Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our April webinar, which will cover LADWP's Revamped Incentive Programs. We will be hearing directly from LADWP about their Custom Performance Program, or CPP, which has been improved to better fit your project size and needs, along with expediting the application process. Before we jump in, a few quick housekeeping items. Helen, could you advance the slide, please? Thank you. This webinar will be recorded, and the slides and recording will be distributed to everybody later this week. The attendee lines are muted just to keep things orderly, but please submit any questions through the chat box. Be sure to send to all panelists, and we will leave time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So my name is Renee Daigneault, and I'm the Program Operations Manager for the LA Better Buildings Challenge. Today we'll be hearing from Michelle Yee, who is an LADWP Utility Services Specialist and expert on incentive programs. And with that, I will hand it over to Michelle to provide an update on the revamped programs.
Good morning, everyone. I had to remember to turn off my mute. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend your morning with me. I'm truly honored. I really appreciate and value your time, so I'm very glad that you decided to spend it with me this morning. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, we've taken a lot of steps to ensure, our customers come first. For those of you who've participated in our program in years past, you all know that our custom performance program was not really working as it should. So a lot of you've shared your concerns and your feedback with us, and we had to take a long, hard look at what we were doing wrong and figure out ways we could do it better. I really hope that in us sharing what we've accomplished through these changes, that we can prove to you the custom performance program is worth taking a second look at. And I hope by the end of this presentation, you all can't wait to apply. So that's what I really hope to accomplish with this presentation. Now, before I begin, for those of you who've heard me speak before, I always like to share a little bit about our utility. Not a lot of people are familiar with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. It's so funny. People, they always ask me, isn't the LADWP in the business of selling power? So why are you paying us to not use it to save power? So it's so counterintuitive. Well, for those of you who've heard me speak before, for a long time now, we've been telling you that our power system is continuing to undergo a major transformation. So back in the days, we would talk about, our mandates that are requiring us to get off our coal-fired transmission and increase our renewables. For those of you who've been reading the papers lately, we're going to 100% renewables. And of course, many of you are aware of our electrification measures that are coming on board as well in the future. So there's a lot of strain on our power system. There's a lot of push and pull. So how do we get through that? How do we overcome all of these, struggles to make sure we meet our goals? And that's where energy efficiency comes in. Energy efficiency is going to have to take the helm and really help us overcome a lot of these strains and make all of the system continue to run and run even better in the future for us to be able to meet these mandates. So we've taken these mandates very seriously. For those of you who followed us in our programs in the past, we're up to about $200 million now that we're dedicating to our energy efficiency budget alone. So that's a lot of money. This is the third largest portfolio in the state of California, behind only PG&E and SCE. We've taken this mandate very seriously. We're serious about meeting these goals, and we're definitely willing to pay you, help us do it. These are big goals, and we need your help. So, we hope that by you listening today and learning about our programs, you do choose to come on board and take advantage of this money that's available for you. For those of you who are not familiar with LADWP's incentive programs, the LADWP offers numerous programs to help our customers implement efficiency strategies in their place of business. Besides our new construction and small business offerings, LADWP's commercial, industrial, and institutional section, which I work for, we offer two major incentive programs. So we have our commercial lighting incentive program, which obviously provides lighting rebates, and our custom performance program, which you're going to hear about today, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Our custom performance program covers basically everything else besides lighting. That could include a variety of high efficiency equipment, high efficiency cooling equipment, controls, retro commissioning measures, among many, many others. We offer performance-based incentives. So obviously the more you save, the more we pay. Our incentives range anywhere from 8 cents to 30 cents a kilowatt hour saved annually. It's typically around 15. 30 is for our larger, more costlier cooling retrofits. So that's a new package unit, new chiller, new compressors. Those will be eligible for the 30 cents. We also have envelope measures that are eligible for 25 cents per kilowatt hour saved incentive. You know, when we're looking at our program and developing this new revision or new version of it, we really wanted to concentrate on ways we could expedite the process. So, you know, a lot of you told us it just takes way too long. It's way too cumbersome. And we don't receive our checks for years, and that's not right. So we had to really take a look at the process and see how can we make it faster? How do we get you paid quicker? And so one way we've done this in the new program is to set two tracks. We have a custom express and a custom calculated track for our customers. So obviously our custom express is for our smaller, less energy intensive projects. So we use deemed energy savings projections to help get you paid faster. And then for our larger projects, we have our custom calculated track. And so this is like our original program. It provides an in-depth energy savings analysis to custom calculate your individual project savings. So the best part about this is for those of you who might have businesses or who work outside of our territory, our neighboring investor-owned utilities, they have to use code as baseline. So for those of you who are familiar with Title 24 code, it's getting more and more stringent, you know, every day. And so for us to be able to use your facility's existing conditions as baseline, you can see how much more savings there are to achieve there to count towards your incentive, which obviously means more money. So that's a great opportunity for us to do. The qualifications for our programs, obviously you have to be a non-residential customer with an active electric account in good standing. So if the customer owes us money, we obviously can't pay an incentive. Your projects must be able to demonstrate energy savings. That's a big key. And the savings are based on annualized energy savings that we review and approve. And of course, your projects must meet or exceed Title 24 standards at minimum. Okay. So what's changed with our new application requirements? This is another area we took a look at to see what can we do better here. So in addition, so for those of you who might have participated in the past, in addition to the standard application documents that we have, Part A and B, your tax form, needing to submit your project scope and any cut sheets from the manufacturer or the new products you plan to install, we now ask that you provide photos of the existing equipment. So the reason that we've started to ask for the photos is our program has really seen an increase in applications. We've literally increased maybe about 500%. We've gone from about 4 to 6 applications to now about 30 applications a month. So it's a big increase. So to help us see if we can expedite some of these projects, for our smaller projects, if you're able to submit the photos of the existing equipment, I might be able to waive some of the inspections, some of the pre-inspections for those projects. So obviously we can get you to installation a lot faster. Also, this is very helpful on our larger projects where we need so much of that information for your projects. Having that existing equipment documented, it helps us get started on the process of evaluating your projects. That also goes with the second bullet. If you have an energy model or a measurement and verification plan or any energy savings calculations available, it's very helpful if you provide that to us. A big change that we've made to our program is previously we used to use internal engineering services to help us review your projects. However, now we've moved to contract engineering services, which is really great because they're able to focus specifically on our projects and also get them evaluated a lot quicker. However, that being said, we also have more cost incurred. So we have to be very mindful of how we, spend that money and try to minimize any additional costs. So if you do have an energy model, M&V plan, any of those energy savings calculations, that definitely helps us get started on the process and gets your customers or get our customers through the whole process a lot quicker. Lastly, we have a new CPP workbook. This is our Custom Performance Program workbook. This is a new application tool that was created by our engineering team, which I think you're going to really like. It's an Excel workbook, and it helps our customers as well as our program managers identify which projects need to go through our Custom Express track versus our Custom Calculated track. For our smaller projects, our Custom Express projects, it provides estimated savings and incentive amounts for those smaller projects, as long as the measure is within the tool and it qualifies. And then for our larger projects, how it helps you is it contains these very helpful data collection sheets and informational links. So for those advanced users, so I know we have a lot of contractors are on the line who are very used to performing energy savings calculations. These tools give you a very good insight as to what our engineers are looking for and what information they need to complete your evaluation. So we can kind of partner together to get that information in and get those evaluations done quickly. So today I'm not really going to go over, because of the limitation in time with this webinar format, I'm not able to really go into detail about this tool. But for those of you who are very interested, we have one last Custom Performance Program workshop scheduled on May 15th. That's a Wednesday, May 15th. Here at the John Ferraro building. It's our LADWP headquarters in downtown LA. It's between 8:30 and 11:30. So if you'd like to come out and watch a demonstration on this tool, as well as also to take a look at all the other application documents. They go through all of those one by one, meet our program manager staff, as well as our engineering staff. They will be there. So if you have any questions in regards to the tool, and if you bring your laptops, we can walk you through it as well. They will all be there. So please do, if you're interested, sign up. That's May 15th here at the LADWP headquarters. You just need to RSVP at custom@ladwp.com. Okay. So when you're submitting your application, so that workbook is part of that, you want to make sure that you submit all the required documents. Right now, we have a little bit flexibility in, when you're missing an item. However, as our program continues to grow and we become more busy, having that application in completely is going to go a long way in making sure that we're able to expedite your application, your project through our program. Now that we require a lot of documents, just a reminder, we have a 10 megabyte limit. So if you do have a large file and it exceeds that size, make sure that you break up your email. You can title it, by the address, email 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. So make sure that you send all of that, especially with the workbook and the photos. It really starts to add to the size of your email. Most importantly, don't forget, all of our projects require pre and post inspection. So we have a pre-inspection to verify what existing equipment that you have. This helps us establish the baseline from which we measure the energy savings against, as well as a post-inspection to ensure that all of the new equipment is installed as stated. So you want to make sure you factor that into your application as well as your installation schedule. We're seeing right now it takes about 4 to 6 weeks from when we get your application, assign it to a program manager, and also get it, if necessary, to an engineer and then scheduled. So make sure you include that time frame before your installation, whatever date that you're hoping for or shooting for. Now, for those of you who've participated in our program in the past, these are the most important changes and biggest, notices that you want to make sure that you keep in mind. Energy savings and incentive calculations will be provided only upon completion of the project and verification of savings. So this is a big change. Previously, to help our customers, with their decision process of how to move forward with their projects, we would complete a preliminary evaluation after the pre-inspection to kind of get a general idea of what the savings and incentive might be. However, because there were so many changes to the scope of work, a lot of times that evaluation had to be completely redone. And, it's really hard for the customer because once they see those numbers, even though it says it's only an estimate, it's not guaranteed, it was really hard for them because they got stuck on those numbers. And when those numbers dropped because of the changes, it really created a hardship. Also, because we've moved to an all contractor engineering service provider, we are trying to minimize the cost with that. So we've chosen to focus all of that engineering effort and evaluation towards the end. For those customers who do want to get a better sense of what that preliminary savings and incentive might be, we've asked them to really turn to your contractor. Your contractor is most familiar with your facility and most familiar with their equipment. So they have the best idea of what that savings might be. However, that being said, remember, they're trying to sell you something. So you kind of want to take that with a grain of salt. We tell everybody, maybe cut it in half just to, be on the safe side. For some of our other customers who are really depending on that number, we also make mention of maybe demanding a performance contract. So some of our customers who really need those, who are really counting on that incentive and those savings to come to fruition, they'll have a performance contractor with their contractor so that those savings are guaranteed. So that's one big change. The next big change is for our TES, which stands for thermal energy storage projects, and any large projects that exceed over $150,000 incentive. We'll pay 50% of the incentive upon installation and the remaining 50% after commissioning and 6 months measurement and verification is conducted. Now, this sounds like a long time, but don't worry, because a lot of times the commissioning takes a while. So keeping this in mind for our contractors or our customers who have very large projects that might meet this threshold, knowing this, make sure you start your M&B early, because oftentimes, that initial commissioning will take a few months and the 6 months will come very quickly. And oftentimes, I think in most cases with our very large customers, we just go straight to the final payment. They don't even bother getting the 50-50 because of the time difference in commissioning and final measurement and verification. Lastly, I did see a lot of our lighting contractors on the line here. So for you who are considering lighting contractors who are considering making the move into the custom performance program, please note lighting measures will be accepted only when submitting in conjunction with another non-lighting CPP qualified measure. So make sure you remember this. So for our customers, what we try to do as a courtesy to make it easier for them, if you have a large whole building project that you're considering that includes both lighting and maybe cooling or other measures, we try to make it easy for our customers by allowing them to submit one application through one program. However, just note that in order to do that, you need your CPP measure that you're applying with must achieve a minimum of 100,000 kWh in energy savings per year, and you have to apply for both the CPP and the lighting measure at the same time. They have to be applied for and completed simultaneously. So if one measure takes a little bit longer, you'll have to wait until the other measure is completed before we can move on to the payment portion. And if you choose not to do the CPP measure, then the lighting measure is disqualified. So remember to keep that in mind when considering applying for lighting and the CPP measure at the same time through our program. Now, Dave asked me to give you a little inspiration. So we've had a lot of great projects come through our program over the last year, and so we want to share with you some of the savings in action and what some of your fellow neighbors, business owners are doing in the city. It's been really exciting. Here's a major theater renovation project. This customer actually completed a full energy audit prior to deciding what they wanted to implement. And they actually, I'm pretty certain they implemented every single measure that energy audit identified. And so you can see it's pretty comprehensive. They performed lighting upgrades, installed high performance window film, a variety of retro commissioning measures, including VFDs, new compressors, demand control ventilation, as well as carbon monoxide sensors in their garage. So you can see that incentive, $220,000 for over 1.18 million gigawatt hours of savings. So that's very substantial. So this is obviously very comprehensive, but as you can imagine, the potential is there for you. Here's another one. It's a large office building here in downtown. They installed new high efficiency transformers, as well as a variety of RCX measures and optimization strategies, as well as a complete lighting overhaul of the entire building. $822,000 in incentives, over $4 million in kilowatt hour savings. So that is a tremendous job. So we're very proud. They actually had 2 facilities that they performed retrofits on. The other one was a little bit smaller. I think it was about $400,000. But for this customer in particular, 2 projects, $1.2 million. So it's a lot of money that they're able to get through our programs. This last one is a massive hotel remodel. They installed new high efficiency chillers, water side economizer, variable frequency drives, and they were awarded $330,000 in incentives and saved over 1.8 million in kilowatt hour savings. So, and this doesn't even include their lighting. They did a lot of other measures. They had a lot of other measures also lined up. I think they were going to do room occupancy sensors for their thermostats, as well as a bunch of water measures. Don't forget, we have water incentives as well. So, just when you think that you've done it all, there's still a lot of energy savings and water savings to be had. This project achieved a 25% reduction in their energy consumption alone, so that's really exciting. This past week, we just approved massive, it was 4 1,500-ton chillers going from air-cooled to water-cooled, new cooling towers, new water pumps, water side economizer, and they're gonna save over 9.8 million kilowatt hours. So that's huge, and the incentive is nearly, I think it's 2.9 million, almost $3 million. So if you didn't think I was serious about paying you to save, believe me, we have a lot of money, we have big goals, and we need to get those savings. This is the CPP process flow. So just to kind of go over everything from start to finish, once you submit your application, it's then assigned to a program manager who reviews it to see which track you belong in, express or custom calculated. If it's custom calculated, we get an engineer assigned to your project. We schedule the pre-inspection, verify the existing equipment, set the baseline. Then you're notified that you can install. After you install and implement all the measures, then after that, once you're completed with that, you notify the program manager that your installation is complete. Submit your invoices, all of your receipts, as well as your installation report. So now we know, okay, you're ready for your post-inspection. The program manager will contact you to schedule that post-inspection. We'll come out, verify all the new equipment that's installed, make any adjustments for any changes in the scope of work, reevaluate if necessary, and then the program manager gets the final savings numbers and prepares the packet for approval, and then finally the payment, and you get your check. So I I hope I was able to cover most of the information about our project and our programs. Like I said, if you want to get into more details, please join us at our May 15th workshop. Any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. That was an excellent overview. Great to see the project examples and exciting to hear that there is a lot of money. We do have some time for questions, and my colleague Christiane's gathering those. So if you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box, send them to all participants, and then we'll be reading them so Michelle can respond. So Christiane, it looks like we did have a few questions come in if you'd like to pose a few.
Sure. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, you sound great.
Perfect. So Michelle, one of the questions was commentary on the proper Excel version to use for the workshop. Do you have any information on that?
We've made a lot of changes to that, so now all versions should be working. So there should be a new one posted. So some of you who may have downloaded an earlier version, because we relaunched in January, that one may have had the limitations, but go to our website, download the new one. We've even created, I think, some workarounds for those who are on Apple. So yeah, please, download the new one. So you shouldn't be experiencing those limitations anymore. However, if you do, don't forget just email us custom@LADWP.com, and we'll see if we can fix those glitches. But right now, it should be working on all versions.
Perfect. And as a follow-up to that, I'm assuming that we can send all webinar attendees information on that workshop for May 15th, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And let's see. There's a question from Richard Brown. Are all multifamily apartment buildings eligible, as well as mixed-use buildings?
It depends on the measure. So multifamily, they have the flexibility of going through either our residential programs and our commercial programs. It really just depends on whether or not the measure is covered under our residential programs, which I would highly recommend if they are to go through the residential. Most likely the incentive will be a little bit higher, but of course on some measures like CO sensors in the garage, or some other measures that might not be, or some other cooling measures that might not be covered under there, then you would definitely want to come apply through our commercial programs. But yeah, multifamily, they have the flexibility of going through either program. It just depends whether or not the residential program offers the measure that you're interested in or not. That will determine whether or not you go through the residential or the commercial program.
Got it. Mm-hmm. We have another question on an applicant that was waiting in line while you were making some changes to the program. What is the best course of action when that is the case? Are they grandfathered as you're making the changes? And how are those folks notified of the changes?
Yes, not to worry. Anything that was applied for previous to the new revisions, January 1, anything before January 1, 2019 is all grandfathered into the old terms and conditions, so the old rules. So that would not apply to them. Yeah, it's only any new projects moving forward.
Okay. Give me 1 second. We have a question from an energy efficiency consulting firm. Does it make sense for us to help businesses facilitate these incentives? Is there something that they can do to help support? Give me a second, sorry. Is there something that they could do themselves without the support of hiring a third-party consultant? So in other words, what can third-party consultants do to help facilitate these incentives?
Definitely what I would say, it just really depends on the size of the project, right? So depending on the size of the project for the customer, because there is a cost to it. So for our customers, we just want to make sure that it's of value to them, right? And so there's a lot that you can do, especially with our customers now looking at whole building projects. If it's a one-off, smaller project, they can probably apply themselves, or several of our contractors, they do want to learn about our program, and they do help our customers apply directly. You know, that's an extra benefit that you as a contractor can offer your customers. Hey, you know, I've participated in LADWP's programs. I know how these incentives work. I'll help guide you through the process. And it's definitely, you know, when they're weighing which contractor they want to go, you know, with, that's definitely something that makes your firm look a lot stronger in that decision process, because you do have that knowledge of helping them get some of that money back through the incentives. Definitely as an efficiency consulting firm right now, especially with our EBW ordinance and so many customers looking at their energy use, this is an excellent time for you to reach out to our customers and let them know that you have this expertise and that you're able to help them identify these measures, because there's so many more measures that our customers aren't even aware of that are available to them, or maybe feel that it might be out of their reach, that you as an energy consulting firm have the knowledge to, you know, maybe explain it a little better, or be able to help them crunch the numbers a little bit better, or just to see the potential just in your experience and knowledge of what you've done with other customers. So there's a lot of opportunity for our third-party consultants to work with our customers, and there's a lot of customers that need help. So it's definitely something that we appreciate your assistance with.
Perfect, thank you. Another question was on water incentives. Is there anything that you can elaborate on?
Water incentives, you know, I apologize because I don't work on the water side, but we have several. I know the toilets and the waterless urinals are very high. I think it like almost covers the entire cost. They just increased the turf incentives, or they relaxed the rules on the commercial side. So I think the amount is much higher. So if that's something that you're looking at changing, that's definitely something to look at. I believe, Metropolitan Water District recently increased their incentive amounts. So for those of you who aren't familiar with their water incentives, it's a shared incentive with Metropolitan Water District. They put in, you know, maybe one half, we put in another portion. And so together, our customers are able to get these combined incentives. They have also a technical assistance program. So for those commercial customers with unique projects or cooling tower, that's an easy one. They have incentives for that. Industrial process, if you have a process where you could save water. I know a lot of times, you know, maybe in our manufacturing, there's a lot of ways you can recycle water through your cleaning process and save that way. And our technical assistance program on the water side is able to help identify those savings and pay you incentives on that. So there's a lot. All of that is available on our website. It is www.ladwp.com. And then you want to go in the center to commercial, obviously, rebates. And then on the left-hand side, it lists all of our programs. So you'll be able to see all of the water incentives that we offer as well on that website.
Perfect. Is there a list of approved technologies or products that fall under the prescriptive incentives?
There is, so the way you would find it is in the workbook. So I highly recommend you come out to the CPP workshop. And so I'll try to walk you through it. On the inside the custom performance program workbook, obviously on the top, on the first page, you're going to enter all of your customer information. at the bottom of that first page, that's where you list your measures. On the right-hand side of that area where you list your measures, there's some links on the right-hand side, and there's a measures list link. When you click that measures list link, there's a pop-up of all the measures, and you're able to filter it. So if you're interested in the express measures, you would click the express to see which ones are express qualified, and that's how you'll be able to locate which measures are approved for the prescriptive or the deemed calculation. You'll be able to see there. But however, just keep in mind, although the technology might fall under that track, if it's too large of a project, then if the savings exceed the threshold, then it may be moved to the custom calculated side. So just keep that in mind. But once you enter your project details, you'll be able to determine whether or not it's custom calculated or custom express. It probably helps a lot better if you are able to see that. Sorry.
Question on the CLIP program is it still valid for standalone lighting upgrade projects?
The CLIP program?
Yes.
Yeah. So the commercial lighting incentive program, I apologize because I oversee the custom performance program, so I'm more familiar with our terms and conditions. But yes, there's standalone projects available through the commercial lighting incentive program. However, because we do have competing programs, we have a commercial direct install program that does provide lighting retrofits free of charge to our customers. We've tried to separate those two, especially because there was a large backlog in our commercial lighting incentive program. So there's a minimum threshold of, oh, you guys are going to kill me. I believe it's a 200 kW demand requirement. So anything below that would have to go through our commercial direct install program, and anything above that would be able to apply through the commercial lighting incentive program. But yes, you're able to still do standalone lighting projects through them. Also, don't forget, if you have, if you're considering another measure that achieves more than 100,000 kWh, even if you don't meet that threshold, you'll be able to apply through our program, the custom performance program. So you can couple it. So if you're thinking about doing a lighting project along with something else that meets that threshold, you can combine them and come through our custom performance program. Okay.
Is there a minimum
for the minimum on the custom performance program is limited to the CPP measure, not to the demand savings. So we'll give you a pass on the demand requirement as long as you meet as long as your custom measure is not your lighting measure, your custom measure meets that 100,000 kWh savings threshold, then you can come through the custom performance program.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Renee, on the recap, we can send links to the water incentives and also any workshops and workbook tips, correct?
Yes, yes. And we can also, Michelle, we can also include a link to the CPP workbook. I know we've gotten a few questions about where to download that. Right.
Yes, it's on, it's on our website. So the next, I can actually, here, let me, oh, yeah, there you go. There's where you can find all of the information.
I wanted to share a question that came into me directly. We had a question about who are the third-party reviewers for the incentives, and does LADWP provide them with specific guidance documentation? And is this guidance documentation available to the applicant as well?
Yes. Let me think, sorry. So first of all, it's a long question.
The third-party reviewers.
Okay, yeah, let's break it down. So we have a series of third-party reviewers, which we're able to contract with, both through our partnership with SoCalGas. So we do have a lot of joint partner programs with the Southern California Gas Company. so we try to leverage our, our resources together. And sometimes if you're able to get your project in early enough, we might be able to even identify gas incentives for you. And so on that side, we have 3 engineering service providers. That's KW, Linkus, and TRC, as well as we also have a contract for engineering services through our SCAPA contract, and those are, in addition to TRC again, is Arab as well as AESC. So those are all the engineering firms that if you, do apply with us and have a custom calculated project that you'll be working with. So those are all the engineering firms that we work with. Obviously, if you've worked with them in some other capacity as a customer, or if they've worked on your project, we will assign your project to a different service provider, because we don't want any appearance of, collusion or anything. So, but yeah, those are the service providers that we work with. Also, as you said, the guidance documentation is really in that workbook. Once you're able to get a chance to play with it, and if you're able to come out to our workshop and we're able to really open it up for you and show you all the good nooks and crannies, you'll be able to see there what we're looking for. There's, like I was telling you, there's a lot of collection forms in there, data collection forms. So you'll be able to see what exactly are we looking for? What are we, what are we documenting? What are we considering when we're considering those evaluations, when we're conducting those evaluations? You'll see that. I believe somebody had asked about the error, and I think you're speaking of the error in regards to energy modeling. Of course, we prefer less than 10%. The higher the error, the higher, the higher your savings are going to be cut, because we can't trust those numbers. But yeah, of course, we always try to be as accurate as possible. That being said, I just want everybody to know, the LADWP, we really view energy savings a lot differently than our fellow utilities, because, as I was describing to you earlier, LADWP is now viewing energy efficiency as a resource. So when we're doing our power planning and trying to see how much power we need to generate, we're really looking, they're counting on our numbers, and they're, including that amount in that calculation. So we need to be spot on. We need to be as accurate as possible, because if we overstate savings, that's going to be a problem for our power system. Or even if we underestimate, that's a problem for our power system, because if they don't have enough power, if they don't generate enough because we said, don't worry, we're going to save it here, that's going to be added cost, because they're going to have to purchase that power. So we want to make sure that we try to get as accurate as possible. But just like you said too, we want to make sure that we are all playing on the same field. So for those of you who are more advanced applicants, I know we have a lot of our contractors on board. We do follow IPMVP protocol, so that's make sure everybody's following the same rules. So that's what we really look to as guidance for how we conduct our evaluations. I hope.
Great. Well, I think we've gotten through the questions. Thank you all. This was really excellent to get this level of interaction, and really appreciate all of your questions. If you have any final ones, please feel free to enter them in the chat box. Okay. Asking you'll receive here. Okay, for the CLIP program, average monthly electrical demand must be above 200 kW. Is this for the customer as a whole, for example, a portfolio of buildings, or is it for a single building case?
It's currently for a single building case. Right now, it's currently that way. But of course, I'm not the supervisor for that program. That's my counterpart right now, Alex Brown. So I'll definitely put in the word, because I have a feeling you're asking me that question because we want to change that and make it a portfolio. So I'll definitely put that word in. Yeah, we get that a lot. Can we consider on a portfolio level so that we can get those projects in? Right now, the rule is no, it's per individual location. but I'll definitely put in the request for you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's all the questions we've received. Thank you all for your participation. It really was excellent, and one of the largest numbers of questions we've gotten in a webinar. So really appreciate the engagement. So looks like we can close here. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you, Michelle, for your time and expertise. We'll be sending out a recap email with the recording, with the slides, as well as information on the May workshop, as well as the CPP workbook. Our next webinar in May will be focused on engaging tenants on energy conservation. So please stay tuned for more details and the registration link. Thank you all again, and we will hope you will join us next month.